Something that you might find very useful, especially if you are creating the same entry over and over again for different students, is the bulk data entry feature of Clever. This could save you a lot of time because using bulk data entry, you can create one entry and push it out to as many students as you want. Let's take a quick look at how this will work and in what ways you might want to use it. So first of all, you need to make sure that you are choosing the right location for those students and you've got the correct form chosen. And for this one, mostly we'll use them for the counselor log for elementary. An important thing to make sure to do first is that your students need to show up in the listings card. You cannot push an entry out to a student that does not already have a form created. So let's say it was the Clever admin and the test student. If I needed to add someone else, I would go in and I would type their last name and I would search for them and add that student, and they would show up in this list as well. So the student's name has to show up in this list before you can push anything to their form. Okay, so once you've confirmed that, let's say all 2 or 3 or 4 or however many students you want to push this information out to, they're in this list. Go up to the bulk and choose bulk data entry. On the left of the bulk data entry is where you choose the form again that you want to add the entry for. And as soon as you check its button, a list of all of the students with that form shows up here. Now, my 2 fake students are actually not student roles. So this is what it would look like. All of the students would show up. I only have 2 in my list. But if you're at a school of 200, 300, 400, you would have 200, 300, 400 names that might show up here, and they're all selected automatically. Chances are you don't want to push the same entry out to all, 200 students. So you would deselect all and then just go back in and maybe one by one pick the ones that you want. Another way to filter is to use the filters in the middle box. Let's say you know that everyone that you want to push an entry out to is in grade 3, so you would choose is and you would choose grade 3. And well, actually this Clever admin is actually in grade 3. So you can see how it will automatically only keep the ones who are in that grade. So if I have nothing selected, then it comes back. So if you wanted to only have the grade 3s show up, you would choose the grade 3s, and these would all be the grade 3 students. And then you could again pick the 4 or 5 that you want. So once you have just the student name selected, you push the next button, and here is where you're actually going to make the entry. So here is the names of the students that will receive this entry. And here are all the drop downs where you would type in the names of the date of the contact, the name of the counselor who is making this form. Now, I want to talk a little bit about, the contact. Let's say that it was a classroom teacher, you met with them directly. There's a little star I need to put by this. We'll talk about it later about the contact and service. But the last 3 boxes, the visible comments, will show up in the list on the main page. So as soon as you open up the student's form, you'll be able to read the visible comments for all of the entries, the grade. And the confidential comments are hidden from the list, but they're still there for the counselor if they go scroll one by one. Once these are all filled in, because if you do not choose, let's say you leave the school blank, this school field will not populate, so you'd have to go back in and do that manually. So make sure you have everything filled in, and this is super important. You must change it to create a new record. It's going to default to update the existing record, and what that will do will overwrite the last entry that you had in place, and it will disappear with your new entry in place. So you're going to be missing pieces of information. Creating a new record puts an entry right after the last one. It's a brand new entry. That's the one you want. The rest of it you don't need to worry about, but push the update button and it's creating the new record, and it tells you it's been updated. You can either return back to the screen before, the bulk data entry screen, or you go back to the home screen. And you can see here, these are my 2 students, and here are the same information for both. Now, I don't have I don't have all the columns showing, but you can see that it's the same counselor name chosen, same school year, same contact information. You can have the comments visible right here if you want. You would just go up and you would configure it, configure the columns. But go look in the help documents and the help tips area if you want to know how to configure these. But let's say now that you want to tweak this. You could open up any of these student forms, and here is what we have just typed in, the entry we just gave. Remember, we put list and we put hidden. Now here is that star. This is a repeater, because we know that sometimes it's not just one person or one group of people we're talking to. The bulk data entry can only take one repeater at a time. So let's say it was the classroom teacher and you had direct contact, but you also had the parent and caregiver on the phone. The bulk data entry doesn't let you have this second or third or fourth contact in service. So if there are more than one of these types of features in play, you have to go into every student's form and update it. But as soon as you make that change, save to log list, and you can see it shows up right here. Okay. I could go back in and I could add the student was also there, but the student was by email. Okay, it doesn't just show up automatically. Save it to the log list, and now you can see the student shows up as well. Though that's about it for the bulk data entry. Oh, and if you change, like I changed the Clever Admin one to show the parent and caregiver and the student. If I just go to the next student in the list, the test, you can see that one hasn't been updated. So here is where you can tweak. So maybe this parent and guardian wasn't involved, but you wanted to add some more comments for this student instead. Again, save. The more comments part will show up here for this student. But if you go back to the Clever Admin student, you can there it is. You can see that the more comments doesn't show up. So that's how you can tweak that bulk data entry, that generic entry, and make it a little more personal without having to redo all this other stuff. I hope this is helpful to you, and I hope it starts saving you a little bit of time, especially if you're working with larger groups and you just want to have one entry and push it out to all the groups that you have. Again, if you have any questions at all, there's the Clever Help and Tips that's available on the GSCS portal, or start a help desk ticket and someone will answer your question as soon as we can.